So them island boys, watch out, boom. Right now we under, we rum and we sensei. English Harbour, you know we drink plenty. Hustle hard, rich and pocket never empty. Give thanks to blessings, it a shower, it a flow. Well, it's a rum table. Yo, Shock, pick up yourself on this podcast. You know, you don't know a Just Sticker representing, you're listening to the Rum Table podcast. So, you know.
Boom.
Welcome back, guys. As you know, it's a Rum Table podcast. It's your boy Rich, aka Real Big Man Ting. With me, as always, is my guy.
It's Shaq. Just Shaq. You don't know.
Yo, forget Shaq. We got somebody special in the building. Super special.
So honored to be here.
Honestly, we are humbled to have you. Guys, you know what? As usual, I gotta make Shaq roll out the red carpet. Shaq, who we have out here?
Red carpet prepared. All right. So, for those of you who don't know, this is a very, very special young lady. A very, very big inspiration for
Huge.
entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs.
On a whole.
On a whole, not just from the Caribbean, not just from Canada, but just in general.
Oh, you guys are far too kind.
No, it's facts is facts.
Facts is facts. Anybody that knows of the brand KRWND
That's right.
maybe doesn't know who the actual woman is behind the brand itself.
It'd be surprising to me if they really don't know.
Maybe,
But
I'm saying
For
maybe.
those that don't know,
Her name is Kahya. We go way back.
Way back. This is a full circle moment for me.
it is.
We go way back, and I'm very, very excited, and I'm very happy you actually agreed to be on this podcast with us.
Of
And,
course. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank
honestly.
you.
In such a short time, you guys have really set up very well. So very proud of you guys
Appreciate
as
it.
well.
Thank you.
And your intro. I was really vibing. Shout out to whoever did your intro.
Shout out to Drastic. You know Drastic is Antiguan. That's
Wow,
Drastic.
nice,
Shout out to the
makes
boss,
sense.
Drastic. As you guys can tell, we're doing it pretty Antiguan. It's going from the intro. It's going from, we got Kahya. She's doing huge things here. And we figured, you know what, before we even get into the topic, we're going to bring more Antiguan into it. Shaq, what are we drinking?
Ooh. Well, first of all, we're getting into the rum facts, or we're just hitting with what they're drinking?
Well, they need to know what we're drinking before you can't get into the
All right,
facts. Yes.
so we're drinking the Antigua's finest English Harbour
Ooh.
10-year-old reserve.
Yes,
The
10 years.
we had-
Excuse me.
We had to reserve that for the best. We got Kahya here. We
Real
reserved
red
that.
carpet treatment.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So, all right, so I'm bringing in the rum facts before we even get into the topics in them. Then,
Yeah, please get into the rum facts while I start getting
Tell
the
us our
drinks
1, 2
ready.
things.
okay. So that's the. All right, so boom. My rum facts. This one it's close to home because it is bottled at home in Antigua. All right, this is a company. English Harbour was first of all named after the port, English Harbour in Antigua, which is where the English and the French used to have some major battles, confrontations back in the time. So it's deep in the history of Antigua. They've had time to perfect their craft. Specifically, when it comes to this bottle, the 10-year-old, it's a blend of a few of their rums, even up to like a 25-year-old rum they'll have, aged
From
in
the
there.
archives.
pulled up from back in the depths. They have the rum aged in their oak chips barrels, which give it a really, really nice flavor, a mellow flavor. You know what? Even on the rum facts, me I got smell this one.
Give us a little sip.
It smells solid.
It's so solid, like the oak.
I can smell the aroma from here.
Oh man, I'm excited for this one, man. I love English Harbour personally. As Shaq said, it's something we normally drink at home, and we feel like home right now having Kahya with us. So, cheers to you guys,
Cheers
Cheers.
for welcoming me. I feel right at home.
and let's get into it. Whew.
Goes down real smooth.
Oh, this is a good one.
All right, now we can start.
Yes, we can. I'm gonna at least give you guys some chasers. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
want y'all
please.
to.
I was trying to play big and take my sip on the rocks,
No,
but
you-
I'm definitely gonna need some ginger ale.
I'm sorry, we're treating you like a boss because we know you're a boss.
I'm actually gonna add this to the rum facts. The
What's that?
afterburn, they're kind of smooth still,
Real smooth.
Yo, get y'all English Harbour. The 10-year-old is amazing. So, for us to start, I gotta ask you, Kahya, tell us, for the people that don't know, tell us about yourself. Tell us, how did you start? How you grew up. Talk to us. What's up?
Yeah. So the brand is KRWND. But I spelled it KRWND to kind of be trendy. No vowel. Start with a K.
So
my name
smart.
is Kahya.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been doing it since about 2014. To be honest, when I started, it was never really a full-blown business idea. I kind of just led with what I like to do and was kind of just like a creative outlet, a hobby. I've always liked to make things. Like from when I was a kid, I always knew I wanted to be in a creative field. But when I think back to like growing up, there was never really many outlets that would kind of develop, the creative industries, especially growing up in the Caribbean. That's not really like a lucrative business idea. So for me, it was always just like a hobby and something I love to do. I kind of always need a creative outlet just to balance out, like the day-to-day routine. So it started out as a hobby. I was just making stuff for myself and just stuff I wanted to see and wear. And from there, people would start to ask, oh, like, where can I get this? They wanted to, they wanted to be able to buy it. So I started a website. And then it kind of really just turned into business through that. I started doing all online. I never really had anything physical. And at this point, I don't think I'll ever do like a physical store.
Right.
Online is definitely the easiest way to go for me. No overhead. But yeah, I started out as a hobby while in school. I went to school for business. And to be honest, it only really became like a full-blown business. I left my job in about 2020, just when the pandemic hit. So I've been doing it full time for a little over a year. And to be honest, I always question why I didn't stop and do that sooner.
Wow.
Because it really took off once I was able to really put all of my time and effort into it. I guess what they say is so true. Like if you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. So for me, taking that leap of faith and leaving my job was definitely the biggest transition I experienced in doing it in the 5+ years that I've been doing it. But yeah, I sell jewelry, I design it, and I work with manufacturers to actually produce it. I used to do a lot of stuff handmade myself. But now we've kind of leveled up, leveled up the quality, leveled up the manufacturing. So yeah, that's been super helpful in just allowing me to focus on like design and actually the back end and operations. So yeah, that's kind of like the business in a nutshell. I focus a lot on custom jewelry, a lot of like nameplates, a lot of body pieces, and then I also have collections that are just like in stock, ready to go. But my focus is mainly a lot of custom stuff. I like to be able to, like, for me, jewelry is very symbolic and very sentimental. So I like for it to always be able to kind of have some type of representation, some type of sentimental value, some type of deeper meaning. So for me, that's kind of like why I was drawn to jewelry so much. It's like wearable art to me. So yeah.
Listen.
No, that's some gems right there.
Y'all heard, right?
I didn't even know where to start because I'm stuck in the fact that your head is your game is there, but let's just say it's like things that you're saying, like, yo, you're leveling up. You decided to leave during the pandemic to do this full time. Those are the scariest moments for some people. Right.
Definitely. And it's not something I just say like, oh, if you have, a business idea, leave your job and, put all your eggs in one basket. That's definitely not it. You still have to be calculated risks. Yeah. And it's definitely important to understand that it takes a while to kind of get to that point where your business can sustain you full time. So definitely proceed with caution, and like it's okay to have a part-time job or something else that fulfills and can really bring the money to the table. But I mean, at some point you kind of just got to take that leap of faith sometimes and kind of put that faith in yourself and your abilities. And I think for me that was like the biggest takeaway from doing this, and like, the past 6 years was just to really bet on myself. Right. Once I did that, the whole game really changed for me.
Anybody listening right now can hear just how solid of a person.
I know. Like you're so sure. I'm telling you, that's what I'm noticing as well. But you know what? Let me just chime in because I know how you said you're selling jewelry. To me, you're not even just selling jewelry, because women alone are not going to be the only ones inspired by this. Right. Personally, your pieces have been on top name people. That's not something that anyone can just say. People are saying, celebrities that they just want to look into them. Like, should we even name drop the people? Like,
bring the names
Aisha
on,
Curry? Jeez. Winnie Harlow?
Yeah.
You're come on, you're so humble right now. These are
sitting
big
here humble
stuff.
as shit.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, but it's honestly, I can sit here and like, oh, say that's all great, but like honestly, a lot of it came just so organic. Like I honestly can't even. People would ask, like, how did you get on this person or that person?
Right.
And honestly, it always happens so organically. Like honestly, I have to credit a lot of like my success to like honestly God. Like a lot of the things I've spoken about, I've prayed about, have honestly manifested themselves. So when people are like, oh my God, you did this, you did that, sometimes it's so hard to take credit because like honestly, don't even know how it happened, how I did it, how I got there. Sometimes, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Sometimes I think it's just about having that intention and just kind of letting God meet you halfway and see, you know, what he can make out of it. I feel like as long as you're positive and proactive in something, the doors will kind of organically open, you know? Like that sounds a little wishy-washy.
No, I hear that.
Lead with intention.
Yeah. So how does that feel? You coming from the islands, and then you come to a place like this where it's like a whole different ball game, and not only do you build something, but it's a name like. It's,
you knocked it out of the park.
honestly, I really personally think so.
And
It's-
it's still so much. I'm sure.
I'm
it's still
sure
so
it
much
is
more it's
to
gonna
you.
grow.
Like it clearly to you, like, you know, I can be so much further. Like this is,
Definitely.
but it's still such an inspiration. It's still such a big deal. How does that feel to you? Are you just so like adjusted to it? It's like, oh, it's nothing. It's just another Tuesday. Or are you still like, you know what? It is a really big deal. What I've done.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a bit of both because, like, at the end of the day, it's kind of like this is like my job and this is what I do. But at the same time, it's like I can't necessarily downplay these milestones because this is what I
It is.
work towards. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
So it's definitely surreal and kind of hearing it back and you guys say it, it makes it seem so much different from me, like actually living it and my head's in the sand. I'm always tunnel vision, just working. So to kind of hear the insight from you guys, it really validates, you know, the whole business and idea for me. So I appreciate the input you guys have. But yeah, definitely these are like, they're definitely milestones to hit and to recognize.
Huge.
Yeah.
These are big deals.
Yo, that's how you know she's gonna be so much bigger because
Right.
she's just casually like,
Yeah, she's-
yeah,
yeah.
like, you know, these are milestones.
But I still got bigger goals.
Things
Like,
are gonna be happening. Guys.
I thought about these, but then I got other goals that I'm still working on.
Right.
You know, but I'm not even looking at it from just a jewelry standpoint or one. I'm looking at it from just a business on a whole. How many, I'm sure you probably know personally, how many businesses you've seen from friends or family that they've started and then they have somewhat just crumbled,
Right. Happens
you
all
know,
the time.
and you've still been at it. You said from 2014?
Yeah.
I'm in 2021.
Yeah. So honestly, guys, nothing happens overnight. Don't ever believe that hype.
No, but personally, I've believed in you from so long.
You have. You're one of the OG customers,
But
so
it's
thank
but
you.
but me, you and I spoke about something. It's the way you move. You're moving like, yo, my shit is the shit.
Right.
You know, you weren't moving like, yo, these are just some knockoffs that, you know, anybody could do.
Right.
You're
With confidence.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really can't take away the value from that.
Yeah, I know, definitely. I think if at the end of the day, like, you have to sell your stuff, so you got to believe in it more than anybody, you know? But at the same time, I think it's so important just to kind of remain humble to a degree, you know? But,
Right.
But yeah, like, it's definitely surreal to kind of see that it's manifested into a lot more than I ever thought it would be. So now it's really to just kind of stay focused, you know, and not kind of lost in, you know, all the milestones, but also to just kind of keep the end vision kind of in perspective, you know, and I still don't know what the end vision is because I think every time you kind of hit a new goal, you kind of, you know, that whole perception kind of changes. I don't think there's ever like a final destination when it
Right.
comes to your goals, but
You just keep expanding.
yeah.
no, honestly, like every time something new happens or something new is accomplished, I think it's always important to kind of sit back and reevaluate and, you know, just make sure, is this still in line with my intentions? Is this still in line with my vision? Is this still in line, you know, with like my views and my goals? So yeah, definitely always taking inventory.
Look at
All
Shaq.
right, all
I
right,
know Shaq's
all
over
right,
there loving
all
this. Shaq,
All right,
I
all
know
right.
Shaq is loving this.
All right. I want to pick your brains a little bit. I want to bring out what this topic is really kind of all about, right? Like, and I'm gonna ask you this, and I know we spoke about it before. I'm still gonna ask it. I'm still gonna ask you, and I want you to answer as honest as you did the first time, just
Definitely,
because
okay.
the way you answer this is going to open people's eyes in a kind of way. Okay. What does women's empowerment mean to you?
I think that's such a, I don't want to say slippery slope, but there's so much that encompasses like women empowerment. a lot of times I think it's marketed as like women helping women, you know, and kind of like supporting each other, and kind of men being able to vouch for women to kind of open doors where they would normally, you know, be positioned to kind of to say, hey, let me pass this on to a woman.
Right.
So I think there's definitely that aspect of it, which is actually mobilizing women. It's more than just like encouraging them and saying, oh, you're doing great, but it's important to be able to mobilize women. Because I think there's a lot of fluff out there with the whole women empowerment. It's like, oh, like you go, girl, but okay, like how sustainable is that? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very much like a hot topic, a very
it's true.
trending topic. But I think for me, when it comes to like women empowerment, I think it's always important to like understand like the environment that you operate within, because like to me, I try not to like take on the idea of barriers. Like, yes, there are so many barriers, and yes, men make more money and they do this, but like when you really think of it, there's a niche and a market for everybody. So if you know the arena you're playing in, a lot of other factors don't even necessarily like really come into play. You know what I mean? Like for me, I kind of understand where I stand within my market, and I really just try to operate within that and kind of like tunnel vision. I don't let barriers get to me. I don't let like, you know, if someone says no, like to me that no is never a final answer. No just means I need to do more work. I need to look in a new direction. I need to, you know, hit somebody else up. Like there's definitely like the barriers are there, you know, like it's not to downplay that. But for me, women empowerment is just like whenever you get a no, it's just like go back to the drawing board and re-strategize, you know, like there's a million ways to get it. Choose one. Like don't let, you know, what society is telling you and the barriers that they're kind of enforcing upon you be that end all be all. You know what I mean?
I like that. I like that. The only quick question I'm wondering in it, do you think personally, when you say stay in your own lane, should that stop you from, let's just say, expanding into like another field? Let's just say you're in the jewelry business. What if I wanted to get in the shoe business? Just a little plug there. You got a shoe collaboration.
You might say a little plug.
Oh, yes.
That's Foot Locker.
Let's talk about that Foot Locker collaboration.
Yeah,
No,
that's definitely
you know what I
different
mean?
to see jewelry in a footwear space. So that was really, really cool to be able to kind of get into that space. Yeah,
That's a big deal. This is huge. Honestly, is a lot of props to you for just being able to see that. I remember me and my wife trying to get it because it's on the European website.
right. We don't even have it in
And
Canada.
it's just like it was just like gone. It was like we couldn't even get access to it, you know? But going back to my question, do you think does that stop? Should someone actually be stopped from going into another lane? Let's just say you wanted to branch off and do something else. What's your
Definitely
take on
not,
that?
because I feel like every field has different demographics that you can kind of attain to. Like, yes, jewelry market is extremely broad. There's so many people doing similar to what I do. But I think it's really about knowing your customer and knowing your brand voice and like what you stand for. And once that's prevalent and there, then the audience will come. Like same thing for, let's say you want to go into shoes. There's like there's shoes for men, there's shoes for kids, there's so many different demographics you can kind of go into. So I guess when I say stay in your lane, it's not to say stick to one thing, but it's like when you get into a new field, a new arena, it's to just understand who you're speaking to, who you're selling to, who you're aligning yourself to, and sticking with that, you know, because realistically, you're not going to be for everybody. You can't sell to everybody. Not everyone's going to like your stuff.
Right.
But based on your brand voice and what it is that you're selling and putting out there, there are people who will be drawn to that message and what you're doing. And those are the people you need to go hard for and market to, and not try to kind of be the jack of all trades and the master of none. You know what I mean? So I think when I say stay in your lane, to clarify, it's more about like finding the people who you align with within that industry.
I like that. No, I get where you're coming from. That makes perfect sense.
I mean, hey.
Yeah, I know. Like, go for it all. You know,
Yeah.
don't actually. Let's retract. Don't limit yourself, but find find your people, essentially, you know, like don't feel like you have to please everybody and market to everybody and be able to pick a product's everyone's gonna love, because that's not gonna happen.
I like that.
I mean, hey, we have like Yeezys, right? So there's that.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair enough. And it's still working, right? It works. No, I get your point. Let me ask you this. Shaq was thinking about it earlier. Shaq, I'm just gonna ask. You were wondering if she has a mentor. Do you think you need one? Do you have one? What's your take on that?
At this point, I think I would love a mentor. I think up until now, I've kind of just led by what comes up within my mind, but I kind of feel like I'm almost reaching a spot where it's like I'm running out of resources within myself, and I think it's so important to be able to
getting
find
too big.
somebody. Almost, but it's almost like I've exhausted all of my own resources and my own inspiration and my own, trains of thought. So I think it's super important to be able to have a mentor who can kind of like bring other perspectives into your viewpoint, because like no one person can do everything on their own, and like at some point, like there's only so much you can come up with, like you know what I mean. So I think that point of having a mentor is actually super important as I grow, and that's definitely something I would love to look into.
I like that. I mean, I'm surprised you've gotten to this point without mentorship though.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, I think like my education background, just in having done business kind of helps. And I've also done a couple programs within the city that are like business incubators that kind of offer a lot of direction and like, resources. But in terms of mentorship, I've never had, but it's definitely something I am looking for like now as I've really kind of decided I want to expand and grow some more because like there's only so much I know, which really isn't a lot.
You think you think you need it in the beginning?
In the beginning, I don't think I was really, to be honest, I didn't really care what anybody had to say. I honestly didn't want anybody coming in and like deterring me from my vision. Yeah, like honestly, like sometimes when you tell people your ideas,
you get shut down.
Yeah, they'll come with their spin.
Yeah, they'll come with their, like their apprehensions or their input. And like when I make a decision like that, it has to be a decision I've made on my own. I don't want the input because I need to make sure it aligns with what I want for myself.
You don't care what nobody feedback is once you're for sure, you're done.
That's
the definition of mean a business, is it?
That's crazy.
Like I really have to lean on my intuition because at the end of the day, people can understand my brand and my vision, but nobody's going to know it the way I do. So if I'm not firm in that, there's no way I can communicate it to the degree that I see it for people to receive it the way I'm trying to put it out.
Wow. Yo, let's talk on that because we were saying earlier, when I think anybody can relate to this, but especially let's just talk about us being from the Caribbean. You say, yo, you're going to start a business. You're going to start
everybody have their 2 cents and want to tell you this and tell you that.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah. Especially when it comes to entrepreneurship.
You want to do jewellery? Oh, no. Kahya's just playing around.
Literally, I couldn't have that.
How many times have you heard this one? You know how many many businesses fail within 5 years?
Yes.
Or somebody else already doing that.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
See, that's another thing.
So then how was that for you? You've heard those things?
Definitely.
How did that play into your role and becoming where you are? Was your parents saying you that? Was your family saying that? Was your friends saying that to you?
My parents have always been really supportive and like, whatever you want to do it to the best of your ability and we'll support you. You want to be a garbage man? Do it, but do it to the best of your ability and we'll support you. So to be honest, I never really felt like I had pressure in that sense. I think it was just more of like a society thing. Like it's very seldom that you can be in a creative field and really be lucrative, and especially with like like we've said, like coming from the Caribbean, like having a career in the creative field, like that's not when you're in school preparing to do your CXCs and stuff like that,
right.
Nobody's saying okay, plan to be a designer or plan to be a musician.
Right. That is so true.
For me, my pressures or like the apprehensions was more so like I didn't really see as much of it out there or examples to follow. So that kind of really, if anything, would have been more of a deterrent, which is why I kind of had to shut out what I was seeing or not seeing out there to really kind of pull from what was within. Because I feel like a lot of businesses, they start from like an idea that's so pure and inherent that doesn't come from anywhere else but you. And to develop that, you really have to zone in and block out all the naysayers and the doubts, and it's so easy to like tell people your ideas and they say one thing, and sometimes people don't even have the intention to kind of deter you from it. It's just like the questions will kind of put doubts in your head, and I'm so quick to kind of be able to internalize that, and because I know myself, I'm like, nah, I gotta block it out and just really kind of zone in on what I'm hearing and seeing and feeling within myself and use that as my guide.
Listen,
yo,
I'm so big on entrepreneurship, right?
Huge.
And not working for people.
Honestly, guys, for y'all listening and watching, Shaq is one of the most biggest person I know when it comes to pushing, just being just not only a business owner, but just working for yourselves. He doesn't care. He's like, yo, you sell chewing gum, you're the shit. He doesn't care. He pushes you to do your own thing.
Shaq, you have a very leadership mind.
He's super big on that. And
so
just
you can
following
imagine
your story,
how
man.
inspiring this is for me. I mean,
so
we were in school
appreciate
together.
Yes.
We were in school. All right. So this is why I'm so hyped for you being on this, because I want people to listen and really understand that it can be anybody can do
Really,
this.
anybody,
right?
realistically, anybody.
And I know people always say, "Oh, it could be anybody," but for real, like for real.
It can. Like if I could do it, I'm telling y'all, anybody could do it.
You're underplaying yourself because the fact that you're so short and the way how you're doing things and how you don't take no for an answer. A lot of people, I mean, I've seen so many people start businesses and they're like, you know what, it's I can't do it, or nobody's taking me seriously.
Or something popped up and now it's
And I think
gotta
that's what
stop.
like the basis of entrepreneurship is. It's your mindset. It's not your ability to find resources. It's not your ability to,
It's
think
your
of a business
mindset.
plan.
I
Because
agree.
all those things you can acquire. You can ask somebody, you can do research, you can educate yourself. But mentally, you have to be strong enough to understand that there's going to be so much it's a volatile thing to be in entrepreneurship. So mentally, if you know you can't take that, then you're already count yourself out. Because anything else you can learn. We learn something new every day. We have the ability to learn something new every day. And if you don't know anything, if you at least improve on it 1%, in a year you could be an expert. So that shouldn't deter you. What you need to nurture is your mindset over anything.
Holy gems.
No
Yeah,
joke.
like like you have to nurture your mindset more than anything. Everything else you can acquire on the way. Shouldn't be the basis of your determination to be an entrepreneurship. To be an entrepreneur, you just have to know I don't even want to say your full vision, because a lot of times people start things and they don't even have a full vision, and that's okay. But you have to know your intention and kind of like why you're doing it. Like they always say, "Oh, know your why," and that's so freaking cliche. But it's like, it's honestly, you have to know and understand what you're doing it for, and just at least just know that you love it. If anything, just know that you love it. So whatever comes into play, whatever throws you off track, that won't set you back completely. Like don't get me wrong, I have my days. I have every other day where I'm like, "Oh my god, f this, I'm gonna go work for somebody.
I'm done.
This is a lot. Like I just want to be on a payroll." But
because you have a lot on your plate.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's because I love it, and that trumps everything. You know what I mean? So it really all goes back to the mindset, really and truly.
Was it something you always wanted to do? Like growing up, did you study to start making it, or
like growing up, I always loved doing arts and crafts. So like when I left high school in Antigua, my plan was to be a fashion designer, but I didn't get into the program. So then I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just do it as an internship on the side and work for somebody to get to learn it. Because I didn't get accepted into fashion design program. So I found a designer that was local and I was working with her, but I couldn't sew for shit. So that was like, okay, I can't do this. So I kind of had to redirect. Then Jewelry ended up being
wait, hold on. People need to hear the nitty gritty, the struggle, the struggle.
Yeah.
So talk about that. What was that experience like?
Yeah, I felt defeated because I already felt like, oh my God, this is over before I even started. I applied to the program, I didn't get in. So then I was like, oh my God, like what am I going to do?
You didn't have a backup plan.
How did you come up with that though?
With what?
That you wanted to be a fashion designer.
I just always liked making things growing up. Like I was always into arts and crafts. So I was like, okay, design would be a good avenue when I was young, a teenager. I'm like, oh, I love fashion. I know fashion. I'm going to be a fashion designer. Every young girl says. But then...
Is that really a thing that young girls normally say? I don't know if I've really...
I have no idea.
I don't know. Like a lot of people think just because they like fashion, they can work in it. But fashion is a hard...
It must be.
It's nitty gritty, man. Like it's a lot of input and not as much output, to be honest, So it's like, that's why you really got to love it. But I thought I was going to be a fashion designer. I applied to the school. They said no. So already I was like, oh my God, my dream shut down. But see that, I couldn't let that deter me. So I said, okay, what else can I do to gain those skills and, still move forward? So I went to school for what I think I started off in, like, what was it, communications? So I did that.
The dreaded communications.
Yeah, no. Right? I think everybody in our graduating freaking class did communications because nobody knew what we wanted to do. None of us were good at anything in particular. So, it was general.
I'm going to communicate with people.
Yeah, no, like whatever the frig that means. So I just went into that, and then I found a designer to work with on the side, and she was like an actual fashion, and she had her own line. So I'm like, okay, I pitched to her to intern for her.
Wait, but talk about that. How did you get into that from communications? How did you find the person and be like, I'm going to intern?
Like I literally just saw her on Instagram and I loved her work, So I think it's really about aligning yourself with people you want to emulate, I guess, to some degree.
But you reached out. No, did somebody give you that idea? Did you just...
No, I just decided to reach out to her because I'm like, well, if I'm not going to learn it in school, I got to learn it somewhere else because I wanted to be a fashion designer. So because I couldn't do it in school, I said, what's going to be the other
that's crazy to me.
So that's what I mean when I say, like, when someone tells you no, there's a million ways to get it. Find another one. You know what I mean?
Kahya.
So,
I don't think you realize.
I don't think she does.
how
I don't
amazing
think she does.
that mindset really
Oh my
is.
gosh, really?
No,
Think
I
that?
don't. Yeah. 'Cause
How many people are single
yes.
track minded, and they would have gotten shut down, and that would have been
Yeah.
it, and then they would just be working a 9 to 5, right?
You message somebody on social media and be like, "Yo, I like what you're
Yeah.
doing. I'd love to work for you."
That's exactly
you
what I
think
did.
that's common?
That's exactly what I thought it was.
No, no,
No,
no, no,
I actually
no,
thought
no.
I thought that's what everyone did. Like,
Most
just
people-
find an internship or something.
Most people would think the thought, and as soon as they think it, they'd be like, "Nah, they'll never accept me. Why would they accept
Well,
me?"
that
Some
happens
shit
to
like
me
that.
a lot. But I mean, because I was so, I love this idea of wanting to be a fashion designer. I was mobilized, to be honest, by that, because there's so many times something else will happen, and I have this grand idea, but I kind of like just deflate it and kind of just, I just kind of dumb it down. But it goes back to just like, because I loved it, I was so pushed by that, that idea. So that's why for me, it always goes back to like, if you're in entrepreneurship, make sure what you're doing you love, because whatever throws you off, that love and that drive has to be the driving force,
glue.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hit her up and I was like, "Oh, like, can I work for you?" She said, "Yeah, no problem." So I started working for her, and I was terrible. It was actually so embarrassing. Like, she'd have me sew things and it'd be a complete mess. So that wasn't going too well. But then she kind of she did like a lot of like beaded jewelry work. So I was like, okay, maybe I could kind of pivot into
what's
that.
that?
She did a lot of like beaded jewelry work, so like bracelets and stuff with like beads and like simple like jewelry assembly type stuff. So that's kind of what gave me the idea to kind of look in a different direction, because clearly the universe was telling me fashion design is not your thing. Between not getting accepted to the program, not being too good when I actually finally tried it.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's really about just being able to be flexible and pivot. Like, yes, you have to have your vision and you have to stick to it, but you also have to be willing to kind of budge and move when you see certain things are not going in the direction you want it to. So,
But still figure it out. So the underlying
Yeah.
thing for you was, though, that you wanted to create stuff.
She wanted to create,
Exactly.
yeah, and clearly do her own thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though that the design thing was like not the design thing, the jewelry making thing was sort of like a random backup plan that came into
yeah,
play.
it really did.
And then you're killing it.
Yeah, I know that kind of worked out very serendipitously.
Yo, that is crazy.
Honestly, I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, right, you can do anything.
I was about to say, I feel like now you could really do it.
In this day and age, I go onto Instagram and I see people selling like the most simplest things. I'm like, see, anybody could really do it.
Yeah.
Anybody could. It's really just about kind of having that belief within yourself.
Like
at
you said,
end
the
of day.
mindset too. Like the mindset. Fair enough. No, so then let me ask you, now that you're actually like selling, your products is all over the place. You're it's on this person, it's on that celebrity. I've seen this one girl, I don't remember her name. She's in Jazz Cartier, the Toronto rapper. I saw this girl was in his video wearing your stuff, and then I saw her on your profile. I don't know her name. Man, I just saw.
I know. I'm trying to like think back, but it's
She's
not coming up right now.
It's too regular.
A vixen here.
It's too common.
But
Rich.
it's a girl here, and I know I saw her on your profile the other day. But yeah, I'm like, yo, I knew that was like Kahya's stuff. But
Oh, I love
it's
that.
like
I love that it's
like
recognizable.
It is. Well, it is. It's like you said though. I know you're into the customizing, but realistically speaking, what is it like now that you're actually selling to people? And then us being from the Caribbean, where people have asked for discount, like yo family, I know you're from long time now. Let me get take off a 10%. Especially being a woman in business. Does that happen to you or it doesn't? What's that like?
Honestly, thankfully, that doesn't happen like very often. I mean, if anything, like a lot of times I would almost like give the discounts as just almost like a thank you, especially when I was starting out. And I think that way would kind of really help build like customer loyalty in that sense. But to be honest, I'm really grateful that like a lot of people, when they want to buy something from me, they really want to buy. They're not here for the discount. It's like they're really here to like invest in my business and my idea. So that's been a huge blessing for me.
Good.
But I also don't take it too personal when somebody, is asking for a discount.
I feel like a lot of people do, right, Shaq?
Well, I mean,
I definitely see how and why.
Yeah,
Because it's
because
like, yo,
you're struggling to get your thing off the ground,
And
people
you're
are
not
coming
going
you
to-
with a half-ass
Yeah.
offer for your thing that's valuable, and
That's
you know
right.
you worked your ass off for that.
I see it
And-
all the time.
It happens in entrepreneurship, right? Where
Definitely. But I
you
think a lot of
start
times
off-
too, they may not be clear on the value. You know what I mean? If somebody's asking for a discount, maybe they don't think it's worth that. So it's either for you to kind of meet them halfway and manage that expectation to say, no, this is what my brand is. This is a value. This is who we are for. And if it's not for you, you can find somewhere else. But I think it's about kind of going back and understand, okay, maybe why are they asking for a discount? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when people are there to buy, they're there to buy. But if they're asking for a discount, maybe there's like a bit of an alignment that's not fully there, and they're not fully understanding the value. Not to say it's justified for them to ask for a discount, because if you're gonna buy something, you better come there with all your friggin' money and ready to
Right.
purchase,
As you should.
You wouldn't go to Tesla like, yo, give me a discount.
But
right?
that's-
Exactly.
But it'd be unrealistic to think that does not happen in our community. It
Oh, for
happens
sure,
very
for sure,
often.
for sure.
That's the thing.
Yo,
yeah.
brother man, come on, Shaq. Man, if I'm so long kayak, come on, man, you be in the same daycare. You can't give me a little discount.
But I
They
think
do that.
You know what happens? There comes a point though where it shifts, right? It goes from you need to get this out to everybody to now everybody sees the product all over the place, the value. So now, like you said, the value. And then now that everybody realizes the value, now they want you more than, you know what I mean?
Got
Now
you.
then
Okay,
you need
okay.
to push them.
So you're basically saying Kahya has just elevated
She's
to that
passed.
point
She's
where nobody
passed that shit.
even like. I can't even ask her for a discount. Yes. I'm surprised she even responds to me. Yeah, I kind of think.
Yeah,
okay,
real
okay.
shit, real
All
shit.
right, because man, I see it all the time. I see people, because that's usually the problem. So what I'm gonna ask you is, for people who's coming up and they're trying to get into the business, selling different products, how should they look at something like that? Because it does happen. People get frustrated all the time. Like, yo, so-and-so asking me for a discount, or so-and-so doesn't support my business. How was that for you coming up? Were you getting support? How should they look at that? Where it's like, most people think it has to be monetary for you to be like, yo, you're not supporting my business, brother. Me and you can't be friends. Oh, you can't even buy one jewelry from me. What's going on? How was that? What was your take
that's
on
very
that?
common, and I think it's very easy to kind of be deflated by those ideas. But I think when you're doing business, you always have to think like it's not personal, you know? Like as a business owner, you have customers and they are taking their hard-earned money and investing it into your business when they buy a product. So at the end of the day, you have to think like, how can I project this value to the customer so that they are ready to pay that full value too, you know? And I think it goes the same for support, you know, because at the end of the day, whether it's your family and friends, at the end of the day, they could be a customer. So you really have to understand that you ultimately have to sell it to them, you know, like not everybody's going to jump on your bandwagon just because of your friend, you know,
Right.
if you want them to share your business and to, you know, pass it on to the people, you have to make sure it's credible and they're comfortable enough to tell people about your business, you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's why you can't take
Right.
that support thing very personal, because if they haven't supported, maybe they don't understand how serious you are about your business. You know, maybe that's not coming through as much for them to know and like, okay, this is serious and this looks good and I can pass this on to somebody else, you know, like the same way you would give a referral, you know, to a friend about something, you want to be able to give a strong referral about someone's business. So, I mean, I definitely always tell people, like, don't take it personal if at the beginning you don't have the full support of everybody, because it's like you still have to communicate to them what your business is and the value is. So
Right.
if they're not supporting you, maybe they don't understand the full breadth of this business and like how serious you are and the quality and, you know, all that comes with the business. So
Right. Nobody wants us to push
something
something
that's
to
not,
somebody
you know,
else that's
100%, you know,
trash, you know,
exactly.
or-
The same way you wouldn't tell, you know, bring somebody who, like, let's say you know of a job, like, and you want to tell a friend, like,
Right.
you're going to be very critical about the person you suggest for that job, because, you know, there's...
It's your name on the
It's your
line.
name.
Yeah, and
yeah.
someone with business, when you tell somebody about a business, you're expecting them and you're telling them with the intention like, oh, here's this business, I think you should, you know, buy and like, you know, buy something from them and invest your money in them to some degree.
Right.
So if you're going to say that, like, the business has to be set up in a sense, in a way that people can see that value and be willing to put into it. You know, if you're doing something as a hobby and you're expecting to get the same type of response as a full-time business, there's a bit of a disconnect, right? Because you're operating it as a hobby, but you're expecting the same return that a business would, and those are two very different things.
Unrealistic.
So, yeah, you know, like everyone starts out small, definitely, and I think it's always a while to build a following and support. And even I had that. Like, to be honest, my twin sister didn't buy from me until I can't even remember how far into the business I was.
Oh, Lee,
You know
how
what I
long?
mean?
How long?
And
did
like
it
she
take?
supported me, but like
Last
her
year?
too. It's like if you're paying into a business, like this has to, like, if I'm gonna wear this every day, this has got to be good quality. You know what I mean? When I first started out, the quality wasn't that great. So like, what does everyone want to spend their money on something where quality isn't 100%? You know, so you have to think of it from like the customer's point of view too, and can't take it so personal. You know, because business, nothing's personal. It's like it's a transaction at the end of the day.
That's true.
Right. It's just business. Like everybody says, it's just business.
Yeah. But I get why people are deflated by that. And you know, like when you don't have support when you're starting out, it's so easy to say, you know what, frick this, I quit. I'm not doing anymore. I don't have support. But that takes a while. You know what I mean? With anything. So don't let that be the reason why you say, like, I'm not going to do this business anymore. Because realistically, support is earned. It's not just given, you know?
I agree.
And support comes in so many ways. If somebody can't pay for something, like, you know, they can, if they're telling you about your business, take that support, you know? Like, don't be upset because they're not buying something just yet.
Well, word of mouth is the best advertising.
That's the thing. Somebody could come and buy something one time and that's it. But if you have another friend who's ready and willing to tell everybody about your business, take that support and really, you know, value that support.
Do you find it you get more support from your people, like our people, or is it just the random people that just, you know, maybe like a pop-up shop or something, and they're the ones that...
When I first started, I was a lot of strangers that would support more so than like friends and family, you know? Like everyone was always supportive of my idea and like never told me, oh, don't do it. But in terms of like sales and customers, it was usually a lot of strangers, you know?
What about right now where you've reached this level of, you know, magnitude, I'd say?
Well, I think the strangers just outweigh the family and friends at this point.
Yeah, definitely. But it's really nice to kind of have a lot of family and friends, and like my mom's friend wants this, or you know, a friend of a friend has this coming up and they need this made. So it's really nice to kind of see that network growing in terms of like word of mouth, where it's like it's spreading through your network, you know, past your network, where you know they're now telling, you know, their friends and associates and stuff like that. So I'm definitely seeing a lot more like, oh, this person told me about you. So, you know, so that's been really, really nice to see, you know, that like people can vouch for me and they're like comfortable saying, oh, I'll refer you to Kahya. She can do this for you. So that's been probably the most rewarding, you know, because those are the ones who really vouch for you.
Yes. So, you know what? We've been thinking about doing a giveaway for a while. And what's a better time to do a giveaway with Crown is here? We figured we'd have been able to give a few of the listeners something special.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have 3 gifts that we wanted to give away. I'm not even going to give you all the details. We don't want to give you all too much. But let's just say you're getting some nice pair of hoops. We're giving away a bracelet. Is that right? What's the next thing? It was a hoops, it was a bracelet. And
I know there's a necklace in there.
And it was a necklace. So it's one of each. And basically all you got to do is listen to Shaq.
All right. so for you to enter into the giveaway, and just so my woman realizes she can't be part of the giveaway. She's been asking. She's been dying for this.
Yeah,
she really badly wants a piece. All right. Anyway, for you to enter into the giveaway, you have to like or subscribe and share on both the Rum Table and Crown's Instagram pages.
That's all you got to do.
That's
2
all you
steps.
got to do.
Yep.
It's very simple. This is the 10th episode. We're drinking 10-year-old English Harbour.
And comment the code.
Very symbolic.
And we got the iconic Crown. Trust me, at some point, she's going to be an icon.
And did you mention what the code is for the thing?
I did not. So the code is...
So should we start over this whole thing?
So the code is... Crowned, the way Kahya spelt it in the start of the episode.
Should I give them another reminder?
Yep.
Sure.
KRWND.
That is it right there. So just comment the code, follow the Rum Table, follow Crowned. It's I am Crowned on Instagram, and that's it. That's your entry into the giveaway, and you can have one of the 3 prizes.
Right. And for those who don't know, it's at the Rum Table on IG as well.
That's right.
For the other part. So, all right, I want to get back into certain things.
Let's get into it.
At what point? I know you said you have done this full time for about a year. At what point did your family and friends really get behind the idea of this is what you do now? Like, this is who you are.
I think from when I started, everyone knows like when I make a decision, that's it.
Okay.
So nobody really questioned it. My family's always been very supportive in that. Like they always kind of speak life into my ideas and dreams. So that's always been a real big blessing. I think if anything, what I battle with most is like my own self-doubt, or like kind of comparing myself to like what other people are doing, or you know what I mean? Or like,
Right.
oh, everyone's doing this, but I'm doing this. So luckily it's never really been too much of my family. They've always really supported. I think it's more so me dealing with like my own,
Small doubts.
yeah, because that's very real and that's very prevalent. You know what I mean? We don't always know what we're capable of. So it's really like until you actually go and try it. And even then, sometimes it's like you're doing it, but you still don't even know, oh my gosh, is this good? Am I doing this right? You know?
Right.
So yeah, no, my family's has always been very supportive.
Okay. And at first, because I know I've had this in the past with myself, where I didn't really know how to put a price tag on my products, right? Because in my head, my stuff is not as good as
Probably
like the
way
top
too expensive.
brand. Yeah. So how do I actually value this? So
Ooh, that's a good
how did
question.
you overcome that problem for yourself?
Yeah, that was definitely something that like kind of took me a while to navigate. But I mean, if anything, at least start with just making sure that whatever you put in, you get your money back. And I think as you kind of grow, then you can kind of position your pricing a bit harder. But I mean, if you're just starting, I think the best thing is really to just make sure whatever you're putting into it, you're getting it back. So your costs have to make sure you cover all materials, your overhead, and just make sure that your price includes what you need to kind of manage your business. And then as you get more into it and you kind of see the value you bring and kind of like the brand equity, then you can kind of increase it a little bit. But I think for me, like I always want to be affordable, you know, like even for me as a buyer, sometimes I have to stop and look like, would I spend this on my piece?
Jeez.
And sometimes I say no, and I have to rethink my price.
Right,
So
Jeez.
How did you learn that though? Was it like from just shopping, or did you go to school for it? How did you realize that, I gotta adjust my price this way? Because I'm speaking from experience. So I've seen people who've just gotten into business and they think they're making money.
yeah.
And then you realize, wait, no, that's just revenue now. At the end of the year, you realize you didn't make shit
I actually
because
lost money.
I
Once you
didn't.
take out all the expenses and
Right.
the taxes and then
As
this.
you said, your overheads and all of that. So
Yeah, so online, if you go online, there's a lot of formulas. You can literally plug in like your cost to make it, how many
Wow.
hours you spent, how much you would like to value your hourly rate. So definitely look into those type of pricing
how did you
calculators.
came across the formulas though? You just
Yeah, like I would just search like how to price your products
Okay.
and like how to price handmade products. So when I first started out, I was doing a lot of handmade stuff, so I'd have to value and take into consideration my time.
Right.
So there's a lot of formulas online that it's literally like it'll give you a breakdown of like you gotta multiply your materials times how long you spent times like how much you value your hourly rate, and that's kind of how I started, at least with my base price.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, no, that's
Right.
super important because then when
Right.
you do that, you make sure you're at least getting back what you at least put in. So even if
Right.
you're just breaking even, at least you're covering that cost of what it took to make it.
That's
you know?
right.
And sometimes when you're just starting out, you can't really focus too much on the profit. You just kind of got to make sure, okay, at least I'm breaking even. I don't
Right.
have to care too much about profit, because
Right.
that for me,
You're getting your name out there and stuff.
yeah. You have to kind of, be willing to wiggle, but still make sure you can be sustainable. So yeah, like when I first started, I was doing a lot of handmade stuff. So a lot of the time I spent to make something, I couldn't even put that into my price because it would make it so much crazier than
more
it was really
expensive.
even valued,
Yeah.
So I think it's being able to take heed and
Adjusting.
find the balance between like
Jeez.
making sure your costs are covered, but also understanding like, okay, as a buyer, put yourself in that position. Will you pay this much for that?
Right.
So that's kind of what kind of helped me keep that balance when I first started out. But yeah, those formulas are super important because I'm not a math person.
Yeah.
I don't really always, like
I
understand
think
numbers.
anybody can relate to that.
I mean, you're super
So-
calculated though.
yeah.
Well, that's why I gotta rely on these formulas and stuff. Because if I
No,
leave it
'cause-
up to me, oh gosh.
Yo, this is the first
I won't
time
be
I'm
making any
hearing
money.
about the formulas now.
Me too.
Yeah,
I've never heard of
There's
That can
literally
work
formulas.
for anything. For like,
literally anything. Like even if you're just wholesaling something or drop shipping, like there are like there's pricing formulas,
gems.
that'll take into consideration how much the
Gems.
product
Holy.
was. You can calculate into the shipping as well. Like all that kind of stuff. So
Are these free? Or you paid for the formulas?
yeah,
or
no,
what?
they're free. Like get on Google and you can just search like pricing formulas and stuff like that. But yeah, and I also definitely recommend just like using templates like cash flow templates and stuff like that are already set, that you can kind of start plugging in your costs and like what it takes you to make things, so that you can at least start having a clear view of what your numbers are, even if you don't really understand them, and just kind of start building that base of like the foundation. Because like, okay, you can make things all you want, but if the back end isn't tight, which is like you're understanding what's coming out and going in with your money, then it's like you'll just be a starving artist for the rest of your life. So, you know, definitely kind of do your research and understand what type of numbers you need to know, and like what type of just things you have to keep your eye on when it comes to the financial side of things, just to make sure you can stay afloat, you know?
That makes sense.
Because for a while you won't be making much profit. So,
that takes it from hobby to business, right?
Yeah,
knowing
exactly. Knowing your numbers. And I'm not a numbers person, so I need to make sure, okay, if I don't understand numbers, at least let me make sure I'm tracking them so that I can have them there, so that if I go to an accountant or, you know, I need some help, they can see what I'm working with, and we're not starting from scratch, you know?
Right.
So yeah, definitely just keep count and just understand like everything you're putting into your business. Make sure you have some type of way to kind of just track that, because otherwise you're spending, and you're not even realizing what you need to price things at to be able to make that back. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So all right. So we started from the start. We started where you came from. We went to
The islands.
your whole getting into it, which was you just creating stuff that you wanted for yourself that you liked, and people who started asking questions.
And the struggle. You can't forget the struggle part.
the very hard struggle, yes, for sure.
And the grind.
The grind, and then you now getting to this point. For people out there that they have their business and they're maybe getting into the actual flow, like how you've gotten into, what exactly are you looking at for the future now, as your perspective shifts as things continue to progress?
Definitely expansion, but I kind of also too have to kind of be intentional with expansion, because like not all opportunities are great opportunities.
True. When you say that, what do you mean? For those that don't understand.
I would just say, like, as you start to expand, and like a lot of times expansion means like whether like you're housing your stuff like at a store, or you're doing more collaborations, and other kind of people are getting involved, and like there comes to a point where like there's a bit of a cut in the money, you know what I mean, where you kind of start to owe other people. So like let's say if you're bringing your stuff to a store, they're gonna take a cut, stuff like that. So that's why I say not all opportunities are good opportunities. You need to make sure that whatever opportunities you take on kind of align with your brand vision. But for me, I definitely want to expand in the sense of doing more solid gold stuff. I do a lot of gold plated stuff now. And I have started working with real gold in the past 2 years, but I definitely want to establish that branch a lot more, just because I feel like as Black people, we are some of like the biggest consumers of gold. And it's so hard to find people who look like us to buy it from.
Yeah, that's true.
And another thing with gold, it's so important because we spend so much money on things that don't necessarily give a solid return. So I think with gold, at the end of the day, that's something that you can pass on. That's something that you can trade in for cash. So that's something I want to kind of look more towards, because it just offers more value for the customer at the end of the day. So for me, expansion looks like just kind of building that leg of the business and kind of focusing more on like the solid gold operations, and just kind of just getting my brand more out of Canada, and kind of I would love to kind of do some more work in the States, do a lot more costume designing type stuff. So
I can see you doing that. I can see you doing that for sure. We just need to just spread it as much as possible, but really I don't see why not.
Yeah, exactly, right.
You think you being a Black woman in a business field, independent and everything, I feel like how does that play in terms of your day-to-day life? Is that intimidating to guys? I feel like it is.
You know what? I sit here and say no. But I guess that could be biased. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I would say, I don't think I'm intimidating. I feel like I'm a relatively soft-spoken girl. Like, I'm not very confrontational.
Your mindset is so strong. What do you think? Am I lying?
No.
You guys would probably be able to give me more insight on this than I could.
I know
help
for
a
a
sister
fact.
out.
I know for a fact.
Right?
I know for a fact there's people out there that would be intimidated by a strong-minded woman. Like,
I can say I definitely haven't had many long-term relationships. So maybe I'll get more
what would be the reason, you think? What has been the reason? Well, you've been doing this for what, 7 years?
Yeah.
So So then what would be, because I know my viewers are going to ask me, yo, you didn't ask her what her situation is with her mans them. How is it?
Right now there's no mans.
But then they'd be like, yo.
Lee, you said that. How much mans
So
are
then,
like,
yeah, yo, we're going to plug in her DMs. So
No,
that's
really
cool.
not. I'm single and ready to mingle.
All right, hear that. You heard it here. But the thing is, though, they're going to be intimidated because your head is on. Your head is on top of your body.
But I always thought that's what men want. Like, don't they want somebody who can bring something to the table?
That's what they say, but they lie.
No. It's not only just that. It's like you're so driven, right? It's also in the back of the men's mind. Majority of men know they're not going to be as driven as you.
But who said
they're going to get left
But
behind?
who says that driven women always need somebody who's just as driven? I just want you to love what you do at the end of the day, right? Like, I don't need you being a business owner and like, you know, making $1 million. Like,
Right.
who said that?
Okay, so y'all heard it from her herself. You don't need to be that guy, okay? But as a man, you think that way though.
It's
right?
because it's an ego thing,
It's
though.
definitely an ego thing.
It's
Because
an
a
ego
driven
thing.
woman just wants a supportive partner. They don't necessarily need somebody as driven as them. Like, yeah, that'd be great. You know, we're both trying to get it. But who's to say you have to be an entrepreneur to be driven? Like, why can't someone who's working 9 to 5 be driven? Like, you know what I mean?
No, because you see, you just said support. In terms of men don't want to be support. We don't want to support you and your business. We want you to be like what's the word? Is it like submissive in a sense, where you're just like,
that goes
and I
back
can be
to
totally submissive. Like, I love a man who knows how to lead. You know what I mean? So,
You
and
heard
that's
that.
what a lot of women want. We don't need somebody who's gonna be.
but you're coming to Kahya where my name is out there. It's like, who are you? Who's this bum? Who's this bum trying to mingle? This man don't know what he wants. And that's the thing. And guys are intimidated by that. So it's hard. It must be hard.
It's also your poise, right? Because you already know what you're about.
Right.
So any woman that fully knows what she's about is going to intimidate a man. Because
Absolutely.
What does he have to bring to the table different than what you already got? You already know what you're about. He can't help you find that. You've already found that.
And that's not really a man's job. His job is to kind of add to that, you know, like if you're an independent woman and you're loving your life, like, you don't necessarily need somebody to take the lead. You just want somebody you can enjoy, you know, enjoy the success with, you know, and somebody who supports you. And support, I'm not saying support from a monetary standpoint, like somebody who can encourage you and can kind of like get you to, you know, to reinforce your ideas and validate your ideas.
But you see, that's the thing. Most guys would be like, yo, I rather be there from the start. When Kai is like building her business up, I'd rather be there. And I'd be like, yeah, man, Kai, go on, make that thing, brother. Go on, make that. You know? But it's
Rather
like,
than
I'm coming in after and I'm like, oh my God, this girl is on a website and shit. I barely know how to spell website. You know, and that's the thing. We're so shunned. We don't want to guys would not admit to that. But we're kind of scared to like see you in that light before we even get there.
Well, this is some great insight for
It's
me because
facts.
I saw it the other way.
It's facts. It's real facts.
It's like
some guys are not gonna admit to that, but it's facts. And I'm not even coming from the place where I'm not asking my wife to do anything, or I push her to do things. I actually love the fact that we can build things together.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like, you know how some guys wouldn't even.
It's like they need to feel needed, or like there's
there's
something
exactly
they can
what
come
it
in and
is.
do in this situation.
Do you ever heard a guy say that he doesn't get into like a relationship with a woman because she already has a child? It's almost like that.
Okay.
You wanna start something rather than, you know, continue.
But that's the thing. I don't
something.
need you to contribute to my business. I need you to build what we're building together, which is a family, a household. So that's where, you know, you need to come in and find your position.
That's
you know, because I already
exactly
got what I'm
what
doing
it is.
here, and you already got what you're doing there. But we're coming together to build something as a team.
The family part though.
Okay. So that answers the question. You don't need to feel intimidated by a successful woman, fellas.
Definitely not, because she wants you to build a family and a unit between what you guys can both contribute together. It's not to say what you can add to what she already has. You guys are coming to build something unique where you guys are both putting your input, you know, and your experience and your perspectives. So that's what you need to stand on and be comfortable coming in and taking the leadership there, because women want men who can lead the household, who can make decisions for the family, who can say, no, you know what, I think we should do this because this is going to be better for us as a unit long term.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't need somebody to tell her what to do in her business. She's already got that.
Yeah.
But what she doesn't have is a partner to build with.
All right, yeah.
So that's where y'all can come in.
Yeah. They're even more intimidated now, just to let you know.
No, I was about to say, hey, I know even now they're moonwalking at this point. They're turning back.
This was counterproductive.
This is turning back.
I think as a society we place so much value on your income, right?
Yeah,
I
too
don't know
much.
what you mean.
Unfortunately,
Too
yeah.
much.
Right. So that's
Way
the
too
problem
much.
right now.
But we love to see it. We love to see that you're doing so well and everything is just
You're an inspiration.
Thank you so much. I
big.
could say the same about y'all with your families and children. Like, that's what I'm working towards. You know what I mean? So I'm so impressed by how you guys lead your households and, you know, how you balance fatherhood and still kind of pouring into, you know, your own hobbies and what you love and what fuels you. So that alone, because I'm like, oh, I do this and this is what I do and it's great. But, like, I could imagine doing this and, like, building a family. And that's kind of like what you guys are doing. You guys are doing what you love. You're working on top of that, providing for your families, and you're still there and present 100% for your family. So that in itself is like a balance that people work towards their whole life. You know what I mean?
No,
and that's
that's-
something you guys are doing with ease.
That's a fact. I mean, I appreciate that. But
Same.
I'm
I'm about to go quit my job tomorrow. Just letting you know.
You're
You're inspiring me.
Her
because
gems alone.
I have
right?
no choice.
But let me ask you this, because this is something I've had conversation with my friends for a long time. They always wondered, why is it that some women, do you think, would you consider yourself as the type of person who considers or thinks about their career more than creating a family? Or because, okay, for example, there's people who focuses on their career so much, specifically women, that by time they're supposed to they want to settle down, they feel like it's too late.
Yeah.
They feel like, oh my God, biological clock.
Yeah,
I had
that's
that
my biggest
conversation.
fear right now
That's
because I
what-
You're
just
that's
turned
still
30.
young though. No, you're still young.
Yeah, I know.
You're
That's the
still
term.
very
Time,
young.
The
but-
term is the biological clock.
Yeah.
That's the term.
But that's
some
what
real
I'm
shit.
saying. So they basically say that, yo, oh my God, I've been focusing so long on doing my business and getting my business up and running. Now I'm trying to get a husband and then I'm trying to have kids and whatever.
Right.
That's a whole job in itself.
Right. So what's your take on that? Because that's something we've been discussing for a while. I'm not saying you're the person who can are doing that. I'm saying, what's your take on the whole thing?
Well, that's actually very super relatable for me because when I look at like my friend group, I don't have many, like a lot of my friends are in the stage where they're having kids and they're building their families, you know, they're getting engaged, married, even just, you know, have long-term relationships. And for me, I don't have that. So I'm almost like, oh my God, am I behind the clock? You know what I mean?
Which is
So-
insane for you to say.
I guess perspective is everything because I could look at y'all and say, oh my God, like, I don't have any of that. You know what I mean? So, and you guys look at me and say, oh my God, you're doing so well. So it's really perspective is everything.
That's
And-
very true. That's a good point.
And I think you kind of have to think of it in the sense that like there's a time and place for everything. You know what I mean? There's a time to build and there's a time to like, you know, see that harvest come to fruition, you know? So at some point I'm going to have to, I don't want to say slow down, but at least make work not necessarily my sole priority. Because right now for me, my working career has been my sole priority, you know? Like
Right.
for me, that has always trumped everything, you know, and I think that's definitely a reason why I haven't had many long-term relationships. So I think it's definitely finding that balance and understanding there's a time and place for everything, you know what I mean? There's a time to build your career, but there's also a time to start building your family too, you know? So I think it's definitely about finding that balance and realizing you can do both, you know? They can't always happen simultaneously, but you
true.
can shift your priorities to make sure that they are
Right.
both, you know, sufficient and have enough time and attention and energy. So I'm definitely at that stage. I'm like, damn, I gotta start shifting my focus because I'm gonna have at the end of the day is this damn business.
Right. But do you think it's the reason when you say you don't have long-term relationships, is it because of your business? You say, because my guys and them are always talking about these kind of things, right? Do you think it's because like you're just too focusing on your business that you don't really care about so much of the relationship until
To
one
be
night
honest,
you're like
yeah.
lonely?
Yeah, one day I looked up, I'm like, oh my God, everybody's booed up. Hold on. You know? So I've had tunnel vision for a long time, especially coming here and not having as much support. You know, it's like me and my sister, we both came here at 18. And since then, we've just been trying to establish ourselves in some way. So for me, that always took precedence. Like if a man's going to come in my life and not kind of maintain my peace, I can't have that because it throws off everything else in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Jeez.
for a lot of reasons, you know, business ended up just taking priority because at the end of the day, that's what's going to bring money to the table and feed me, you know?
But then, mans them are gonna ask though, what's more important, business or, as you say, booed up? No.
Well, at the end of the day, like family is everything. Your legacy and what you bring into this world is, you know, what You know, because
Right.
you can be the richest person in the world, but you know what? A lot of these rich
you have
people
nobody
have
to
the worst
share it with.
problems because they don't have.
That's true.
They're not fulfilled internally. They don't.
That's
They're
right.
not surrounded by
Right.
that love. They don't have
Right.
anyone
Yeah.
to give that love to share the riches and to share the enjoyment. So at the end of the day, it's like you can build up this amazing business and this amazing career and have all this money, but
Yeah.
if you don't have anyone to share, it
Facts.
literally means nothing. Because you could have
Facts.
nothing and have an amazing partner and family and feel the richest in the world. So at
True,
the end of
true.
the day, I think it all really boils down to that foundation, and that foundation is your family, your
Mm-hmm.
partner, your kids, you know, your extended family, you know, your friends. So ultimately, I think that's really what kind of takes precedence, because you know you want some people to enjoy that success with. So
How do you
even
balance that?
it even goes down to like there's homeless people happier than most of us.
really and
It
truly, though,
kills me,
but that's
dog.
the thing.
It kills me when
We
you
are-
see like
We
That's
out
some
here
real
giving all
shit.
our time away for the money, but there's homeless people out here just
right,
satisfied with
living
life.
simple lives, and they're so content, you know. And we see that in the islands so much. Like
Yes.
we don't subscribe to that idea of a rat race. Like in
No.
the islands,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have work, and after
yeah.
we're done work, we go line, we have a drink,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
go to
man.
the beach on the like.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is such a balance of work life because we understand the value of living life. Like, what's the point of working,
I
working,
miss
working?
home.
And you know, like here we all get so caught up in like just working to make money.
Right.
Right.
And then we look around, it's like, damn, I haven't seen my friend in 5 months. Like, what? That
That's
doesn't happen in
that's
the
that's
islands.
Yeah.
facts. That's
And
And
here
they'll be
it's
like,
so
oh, yeah, that's-
normal.
it's
It's
so
so normal,
normal.
that rat race.
Yeah.
that's facts. That's facts.
Like we could all take a thing and learn, like the whole world could learn from how we balance things in the islands. Because for us, work is just, you know, we go to get our money, and after that, we, you know, it's about like community and, you know, fellowship.
That's right. It's not. It
So-
shouldn't be all about work. I mean, we were just talking about that. You after work, you finish. First thing you do, you think you can have a conversation with your fellow co-workers. No, everybody's rushing home.
Gone off the clock.
Yo, back
Yeah.
home, you can go home and drink.
You can
beer,
drink,
a
have
rum.
We
a
don't go
good-
home
do
and like, oh my
something.
god, I have to go to bed and get ready for the
No.
next day. In the islands, you go home, you lime, you have fun. You know, you've worked all day, so you play hard too. There's
do,
that
yeah.
balance. It's so important.
Lime
Up here, it's straight in the shower, straight
Yeah.
to bed.
Oh, let me go
can't
to bed. I
even
gotta
eat.
wake up with the crack of dawn tomorrow.
to go to work the next
In
day.
the island, like I remember, like we used to be up literally till 6 a.m. dancing, and then like
Yes.
we had to work at 7 o'clock. No big deal. I can't
No
do that
big
here
deal. You can't.
Can't do that. You die.
No.
By the end of the week, you're dead.
Yeah.
because
and
we had that balance back home. You know,
Right.
work hard, play hard.
so I mean, man,
Listen, I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud
I
of
am
you too.
so
Thank you.
happy
I could
for
really
you.
say the same about y'all, because just seeing y'all as fathers, that to me is just mind blowing. Like honestly, mind blowing. Just to see you guys in that position, leading your families, like that's so commendable in itself.
We appreciate that, honestly.
Too.
Trust me, this was a very, very special episode to us. Episode 10, English Harbour 10-year-old, and we got a fellow Antiguan to enjoy that
back
with.
with my brothers.
Listen,
Yes.
we are watching you. We see you killing the game.
Thank you
We
so
hope
much.
you elevate to the highest set of levels.
Oh, you will.
Thank you guys.
I don't
I
see
don't even
why
have to
not.
hope. You will. You will.
I don't see why not.
There's
So
not even time in this podcast for us to talk about all the shit.
no,
need to
we
talk about
would
with you.
we would talk about it for hours. We have to end it at some point.
I'm so humbled. Thank you guys so much.
No, thank you for being here. We really, really appreciate you.
Definitely.
The
Definitely
Great Rum
appreciate
Table
it.
podcast, and I hope everybody enjoyed the rum because I definitely did.
And
Shout out to that 10-year.
and good luck to everybody in the giveaway.
Yes,
I look
Don't
forward
forget
to
the
that.
code.
don't forget. And as again, just make sure you follow everybody. It's me, aka Real Big Man Ting, Instagram and Twitter. That's Ting with a Ting. And I got my favorite Kahya here right now, killing the game.
Thank you guys for giving me this platform and just this opportunity to kind of, you know, spread the word a bit more. Honestly, thank you so much.
Trust me, we appreciate to have you. What's your?
problem.
You can plug in your socials.
Yeah, so the Instagram for the business is at I am Crowned, spelled IAM KRWND. My personal Instagram is at KahyaMC, KHYA_MC.
Sweet. And for those of y'all who haven't looked her up or don't know about her, definitely check her out. She has some unique pieces out there. So
Yes.
definitely hit that up as soon as possible.
Make sure you buy everything off the website ASAP.
Yes, listen
we
to
wanted
buy
to say
everything.
Every
We
single
wanted to say
piece.
sold out
Yo,
by tomorrow.
Hey, it's Christmas is coming up, Valentine's is coming up.
There
Just
you go.
buy your girl things then
Set
now.
yourself up.
Man and woman for them on the website to buy.
Everybody. So.
Man for the woman and woman for
There
them
you
woman
go.
for themselves.
All right.
Or their women.
Whatever
Floats their boat.
Whatever. We appreciate that.
And
Thanks again.
Yeah, and it's a Shack at Just Shack
That's right.
on Instagram. And also I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. 10-year-old. Boom.
Boom.
Well, it's a rum table. Yo, Shaq, pick up yourself on this podcast. You know, you don't know what Just Sticker represented. You're listening to the Rum Table podcast. So